Imagine waking up to -40 degrees Fahrenheit and thinking, well, at least it's not the worst it could be. In the Arctic, things can get much colder. Temperatures can drop to an unbearable -70 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet, despite the extreme conditions, the Inuit manage to stay warm. Their secret: they build homes out of frozen water. At first glance, an igloo might seem like a simple structure, just a pile of stacked snow blocks. But in reality, there's a brilliant method behind these ice shelters. When temperatures get so frigid that even your words feel like they might freeze in the air, knowing how to construct one properly is a skill worth having. I learned it the hard way when I tried to build a snow fort as a kid in Minnesota. What I ended up with was more of a slushy mess than a shelter. That's when I realized, forget what you see in cartoons. You can't just roll snow into giant balls and dig out a cozy little cave. The Inuit have refined this technique over centuries, and their approach is nothing short of genius. The process begins with selecting the right type of snow. It needs to be firm and compact, strong enough to be cut into blocks. If you've ever tried stacking soft, powdery snow, you know it's about as effective as trying to build a tower out of sugar. The best snow for igloos is dense enough that your foot barely sinks more than 1 or 2 inches when you step on it. This isn't just any snow. It's nature's version of sturdy building material, but one that disappears if it gets too warm. The real trick is in the construction method. The blocks are carved at a slight angle and arranged in a rising spiral, forming a self-supporting dome. It's like the coldest architectural puzzle ever, one where a mistake doesn't just mean a collapsed structure, but also a freezing night. Each block weighs around 50 to 60 pounds, making igloo building not just a survival skill, but also an intense workout. Who needs a gym when you can lift ice and build a house at the same time? Each block must be carefully carved using a snow knife, traditionally crafted from caribou antler or whalebone. Today, however, modern Inuit often rely on metal saws for precision. The blocks are typically around 2 feet long, 1 foot high, and 8 inches thick, though their size can vary based on available snow conditions and the builder's needs. Just like any construction project, adaptability is key. There's no one-size-fits-all approach when working with nature's frozen bricks. One of the most astonishing aspects of an igloo is its ability to trap heat. A well-built igloo can be anywhere from 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit warmer inside than the bitter cold outside. When temperatures outside plunge to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, a point where Fahrenheit and Celsius actually agree on how painfully cold it is, the interior of an igloo can still maintain a survivable range between -10 degrees Fahrenheit and 20 degrees Fahrenheit. While it's certainly not tropical, it's a massive improvement over standing in the open and risking frostbite with every breath. In Arctic conditions, this difference can be the fine line between survival and disaster. The secret behind this impressive temperature difference is all in the design, especially the entrance. If you remember your school science lessons, you might recall that warm air rises while cold air sinks. The Inuit use this principle to their advantage by making the entrance tunnel lower than the main living space. This creates what's known as a cold sink, trapping frigid air in the lower section and preventing it from seeping into the living area. Think of it as nature's version of a security system. Except instead of keeping out unwanted guests, it's keeping warmth inside where it belongs. The entrance tunnel, known as the toric, is typically around 3 feet high and can stretch up to 10 feet in length, depending on how much wind protection is needed. It functions almost like an Arctic front porch, not for keeping nosy neighbors away, but for ensuring that the warm air inside isn't lost every time someone enters or exits. Another key feature of an igloo is the sleeping platform. This raised section, positioned about 2 feet above the entrance level, allows sleepers to rest in the warmest part of the igloo. It's essentially an elevated heat zone, like an upper-floor apartment where all the warmth naturally rises. Covered with caribou hides for insulation, this platform keeps body heat from escaping into the cold snow below. Without it, sleeping inside an igloo would feel more like lying directly on ice, an uncomfortable and potentially dangerous situation. The real architectural brilliance, however, lies in how the blocks are arranged. Each one is carefully shaped to lean slightly inward, forming a self-supporting dome. Loose snow is then packed into the gaps between blocks, sealing the structure and making it nearly airtight. This not only strengthens the igloo but also prevents drafts, keeping the interior as warm and stable as possible. Despite being built entirely out of frozen water, an igloo is an incredible example of practical engineering, designed for warmth, efficiency, and survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. I once attempted to build an igloo without properly sealing the gaps, and let's just say it was like trying to sleep inside a snow globe during a blizzard. The positioning of each block is critical. Too steep, and they come crashing down. Too shallow, and you're left with a structure that barely holds together. It's like solving a geometry problem, except instead of earning a bad grade, you earn a night of freezing winds blowing through your so-called shelter. One of the most fascinating aspects of igloo construction is how the structure strengthens over time. Once built, the inside needs to warm up just enough to let the inner surface glaze over. The combined heat from body warmth, cooking, or an oil lamp causes a thin layer of snow to melt, which then refreezes into a solid ice shell. This process, known as sintering, turns a simple snow block shelter into a sturdy, well-insulated dome. It's like giving the igloo its own protective winter coat. A properly built igloo is strong enough that an experienced builder can climb on top of it without causing any damage. Not that I'd recommend testing this theory unless you're ready to start. Traditionally, an igloo is built just large enough to shelter a small family, usually around 10 to 12 feet in diameter. Anything larger, and you're essentially camping inside an ice cavern, where maintaining warmth becomes a real challenge. A well-built igloo of this size can comfortably fit 4 to 6 people, though comfort is a relative term when you're sleeping on ice. For experienced builders, constructing an igloo typically takes about 2 hours. If it's your first time, expect to spend significantly longer, especially if you learn through trial and error like I did. My first attempt ended up looking more like a collapsed snow sculpture than an actual shelter, but every mistake is a lesson. And when surviving Arctic conditions, learning to build one properly isn't just a skill, it's a necessity. Now that the igloo is set, let's talk about dressing for weather so brutal that even polar bears seek shelter. The Inuit have developed a winter clothing system so effective that even modern Arctic explorers still rely on its principles, though they might not wear it with the same effortless style. Unlike today's high-tech gear, which comes packed with more features than a spaceship, traditional Inuit clothing follows simple, time-tested techniques that have kept people alive for generations. The true powerhouse of Inuit winter wear is caribou fur, and not just because it looks warm. It's built for survival. Each hair is hollow, trapping heat inside like thousands of tiny thermos bottles. This natural insulation makes even the thickest wool sweaters seem flimsy in comparison. In fact, caribou fur is roughly 5 times warmer than wool per inch. While most people bundle up in endless layers just to avoid shivering, caribou roam the Arctic unfazed by temperatures that could freeze a bottle of water solid in minutes. A single square inch of caribou fur contains nearly 19,000 hairs, each one working like a miniature heat reservoir. The Inuit perfected this insulation technique with their signature winter coat, the amati. This isn't just a jacket. It's an extreme cold-weather survival tool. Made with 2 layers of caribou fur, it creates a powerful heat-retaining system. The inner layer, with fur facing inward, traps warmth close to the skin, while the outer layer, with fur facing outward, blocks the brutal Arctic wind. This double-layered design is so effective that even when the temperature plunges to -50 degrees Fahrenheit, the body remains shielded in a protective pocket of warmth. It's no surprise that modern winter gear often tries to replicate these same principles, though few synthetic materials can match what nature has perfected. One of the most surprising challenges Inuit hunters face isn't just the cold, it's overheating. That's right, even in the frozen Arctic, wearing an amati while moving can make you too warm. Unlike most modern jackets that trap heat without a way to release it, the amati features built-in ventilation flaps. These allow excess heat to escape, preventing sweat from soaking into the fabric. A crucial detail when wet clothing in freezing temperatures can quickly become life-threatening. Long before advanced moisture-wicking fabrics or breathable insulation, the Inuit had already mastered climate control with their clothing. For them, survival isn't just about staying warm. It's about adapting to the Arctic's ever-changing conditions with precision and ingenuity. The parka's hood is a brilliant example of cold weather engineering. It's not just for covering your head. It creates a protective tunnel of warm air around your face, acting like a built-in barrier against the harsh Arctic winds. This design is so effective that even modern outdoor brands have attempted to copy it. But let's be real. They're just recreating something the Inuit perfected centuries ago. The hood's shape helps trap warm air from your breath, making the incoming air more bearable before you inhale it. Without this microclimate, every breath in the Arctic feels like swallowing a mouthful of ice. But the hood isn't just about personal warmth. It has another hidden function for mothers. It can expand to create a built-in baby carrier, allowing infants to stay snug against their mother's back in a perfectly insulated space. This feature, called an amati, keeps the baby warm while leaving the mother's hands free for work, hunting, or daily survival tasks. Long before modern baby carriers with ergonomic straps and padding, the Inuit had already designed the ultimate hands-free, temperature-controlled solution for carrying their little ones. When it comes to footwear, the Inuit kamiks make most winter boots look like flimsy house slippers. Made from seal skin, they are naturally waterproof, flexible, and durable, even in the kind of cold that would turn leather boots stiff and brittle. The soles, crafted from bearded seal skin, are among the toughest materials nature provides, offering grip and protection without sacrificing flexibility. These boots have been keeping feet warm at -40 degrees Fahrenheit long before anyone even thought of battery-powered heating elements or synthetic insulation. One of the smartest aspects of kamiks is their roomy fit, which isn't just for comfort. The extra space allows for multiple layers of insulating socks, creating air pockets that add warmth. Compare that to modern, tight-fitting boots that squeeze your feet so much that they feel like frozen cocktail wieners. Traditional Inuit boots also include a liner made from dried grass or fur, which naturally wicks away moisture better than even the most advanced synthetic materials. This is crucial in Arctic conditions. When your feet sweat at -40 degrees Fahrenheit, that moisture can quickly turn into ice, which is the last thing you want inside your boots. The Inuit figured out a simple, effective way to prevent this long before the world ever heard of moisture-wicking fabrics. When it comes to protecting hands from extreme cold, the Inuit didn't waste time experimenting with different glove designs. They went straight for the most effective solution. Their mittens, made from seal skin and lined with fur, are built to keep fingers together, much like a group of penguins huddling for warmth. This design is far superior to gloves, which separate fingers and allow more heat to escape. Properly made Inuit mittens can keep hands warm even in temperatures so cold that metal becomes brittle and it snaps. However, staying warm in the Arctic isn't just about individual pieces of clothing. It's about how the entire outfit works together as a system. The parka overlaps with the pants, the mittens have long cuffs extending up the forearms, and the boots rise high to eliminate any gaps. This layering method creates a nearly airtight seal against the cold, acting like a suit of armor, not against swords, but against temperatures that can freeze exposed skin in seconds. Every element is carefully designed to trap warmth and block out frigid air. Modern winter gear may boast advanced synthetic materials and high-tech insulation, but in reality, most of it is just trying to replicate what the Inuit perfected generations ago. The key difference: traditional Inuit clothing actually becomes more effective as temperatures drop. Unlike synthetic fabrics, which have limits, natural fur improves at trapping warm air in extreme cold. That expensive, top-rated winter jacket with a long list of performance claims, it still falls short of what the Inuit have been crafting for centuries to survive one of the world's harshest climates. But surviving Arctic conditions isn't just about clothing. It's also about fueling the body. The human body burns an immense amount of energy just to maintain warmth. In these extreme environments, a person can burn up to 6,000 calories a day simply by staying alive. Compare that to the 2,000-calorie daily intake of someone in a milder climate, and it's clear that Arctic survival requires an entirely different approach to nutrition. Without enough food, you'd burn through your energy reserves as quickly as a smartphone battery in freezing temperatures. To meet these extreme demands, the Inuit traditionally consume between 6,000 and 10,000 calories daily during the coldest months. That's the caloric equivalent of eating 5 large pepperoni pizzas every single day. But their meals are far from modern fast food. What's truly remarkable is that despite a diet high in fats and proteins, one that would send dietitians into a frenzy, the Inuit remain incredibly healthy. Their traditional diet is perfectly suited for their environment, proving that when it comes to surviving in the Arctic, generations of knowledge and adaptation far outweigh modern nutritional guidelines. Let's talk about fat, not the kind people try to burn off at the gym, but the kind that keeps you from freezing when the air is cold enough to turn your breath into ice. For the Inuit, fat isn't just food, it's survival fuel. Seal blubber, whale fat, and fish oils are packed with energy, providing the calories needed to endure extreme cold. A single pound of seal blubber contains around 4,500 calories. For someone in a warm climate, that's enough to last 2 days. But in the Arctic, where the body burns through energy just to stay warm, it barely covers a day's needs. Beyond energy, marine mammal fat has another advantage. It's loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which help keep blood vessels open in extreme cold. Think of it as nature's way of keeping circulation flowing, even in sub-zero conditions. If a modern nutritionist saw the Inuit diet, they'd probably be horrified. It flips every conventional food guide upside down. But here's the surprising part. Studies show that traditional Inuit communities have incredibly low rates of heart disease. Scientists were so puzzled by this contradiction that they named it the Inuit paradox. The reason? Over thousands of years, their bodies have adapted to process high-fat, animal-based diets efficiently. While the rest of the world debates the latest diet trends, the Inuit have been thriving on a fat-heavy diet for generations. Another key part of their diet is raw meat, not just because cooking over an open fire inside an igloo is a terrible idea, but because it preserves crucial nutrients. Most people associate vitamin C with fruits and vegetables, but raw meat, especially the liver and skin of marine mammals, is a rich source. In fact, a piece of raw seal liver contains more vitamin C than 6 oranges. That's something you won't see on the menu at a juice bar. Skipping the cooking process also saves resources. Firewood is scarce in the Arctic, and using up valuable fuel to cook food would mean wasting precious heat in an already unforgiving environment. The Inuit way of eating raw meat isn't just practical, it's necessary. Early European explorers, however, weren't so quick to adapt. Many turned their noses up at raw meat, clinging to their own food supplies, until those supplies froze solid and became inedible. Some explorers even starved, refusing to adopt local survival techniques. If there's one lesson the Arctic teaches, it's that stubbornness can be deadly. Even food storage in the Arctic follows a system. The Inuit don't just freeze meat, they allow it to age in controlled conditions. This isn't forgetfulness, it's intentional. Proper aging helps break down the meat, making certain nutrients more bioavailable. While modern diets rely on artificial supplements, the Inuit have perfected a way to maximize nutrition using nothing but nature and centuries of experience. Their diet isn't just about survival, it's proof that adaptation is the key to thriving in the harshest conditions on Earth. Take kivak, for example, a dish made by fermenting small birds inside a seal skin. While it might sound like something from a survival challenge, it's actually a vital food source during the long Arctic winter. The fermentation process breaks down proteins and fats, making them easier to digest, while preserving the meat for months without the need for freezing or smoking. It's a time-tested way of ensuring that essential nutrients are available even when fresh food is scarce. Surviving Arctic temperatures isn't just about what you eat. It's also about when you eat. Timing meals correctly can mean the difference between waking up warm or shivering. Unlike in most diets where eating before bed is discouraged, in the Arctic, a big meal before sleep is necessary. The body burns massive amounts of energy just to stay warm overnight, so going to bed on an empty stomach isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Inuit tradition recommends eating the fattiest portions of meat before sleeping, like stoking a fire before turning in for the night. Without enough fuel, your body will struggle to generate heat, leaving you drained and sluggish by morning. To put things into perspective, in extreme cold, as much as 80% of the calories consumed go directly toward maintaining body temperature. That's the metabolic equivalent of running a space heater on high all day. Inuit hunters, well aware of this demand, often consume enormous amounts of food in a single meal after a hunt. A typical serving might be 2 or 3 pounds of meat, easily exceeding 3,000 calories. In a world obsessed with portion control, this might seem excessive, but when the cold is constantly stealing your body heat, there's no such thing as too many calories. What might surprise most people is the variety found in the Inuit diet. It's not just blubber and fish. It includes at least 6 different types of seals, whales, fish, caribou, muskox, birds, eggs, and even seasonal berries and seaweed when available. Each type of food serves a purpose. Seal blood is packed with iron, preventing anemia. Whale skin, known as muktuk, is a rich source of vitamin D, essential during the months of darkness when sunlight is non-existent. Even fish eyes and organ meats, which many would overlook, provide critical vitamins A and D, helping maintain overall health in an environment where plant-based nutrients are scarce. But the Inuit diet isn't just about survival. It's also about community. Sharing food is a fundamental part of their culture. After a successful hunt, the catch is divided among families and neighbors, ensuring that no one goes hungry. It's a system built on cooperation, where survival depends not just on individual skill, but on collective effort. Think of it like a potluck, except instead of casseroles, the meal consists of fresh seal, caribou, or fish. In a place where self-sufficiency is nearly impossible, this tradition strengthens bonds and guarantees that everyone has the resources they need to endure the brutal Arctic winter. In traditional Inuit culture, food distribution isn't just about fairness, it's about survival. Special care is taken to ensure that elders and children get the nutrients they need, reinforcing the idea that a community survives together. But consuming thousands of calories a day isn't just about enjoying a hearty meal. Life in the Arctic demands constant movement because staying still for too long isn't just uncomfortable, it can be deadly. A well-insulated coat and a full stomach won't do much good if your body isn't generating heat. It might seem logical to conserve energy in extreme cold by moving as little as possible, like a bear hibernating through winter. But in the Arctic, that strategy is a one-way ticket to frostbite. The Inuit have perfected a system of continuous motion to keep warm in conditions that would turn most people into statues of ice. Staying active isn't optional, it's essential. The human body reacts to cold by restricting blood flow to extremities to protect vital organs. While this helps keep the core warm, it also means fingers and toes lose heat quickly, making them vulnerable to frostbite. That's why Inuit hunters are rarely seen sitting still for long periods. Even when waiting for prey, they shift their weight from foot to foot, flex their fingers inside their mittens, or make small, deliberate movements to keep blood circulating. These tiny actions might seem unimportant, but they're the difference between maintaining dexterity and losing a few fingers to the cold. Just 30 minutes of standing still in temperatures below -30 degrees Fahrenheit can drop core body temperature by up to 3 degrees Fahrenheit. That might not sound like much, but when hypothermia starts setting in at 95 degrees Fahrenheit, losing those few degrees can be the difference between staying alert and needing emergency care. Traditional Arctic hunters instinctively adjust their posture or move every few minutes, even during activities that seem relatively stationary. Movement generates heat through thermogenesis, the process where muscles produce warmth as they work. Even subtle movements can have a significant impact. Inuit hunters incorporate small, almost unnoticeable exercises while tracking animals, rolling their shoulders, wiggling their toes inside their boots, or performing slight knee bends. It's like a quiet Arctic workout routine, except instead of toning muscles, the goal is to prevent frostbite. Research has shown that these minor movements can increase temperatures in extremities by up to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which is often enough to prevent fingers and toes from going numb. This need for movement is built into daily life. Even inside an igloo, there's rarely a moment of true stillness. Igloo maintenance alone provides plenty of physical activity. In an environment where a small crack in the ice can turn into a major problem, constant upkeep is necessary. What might be a minor inconvenience in a warmer climate becomes a life-threatening issue in the Arctic. This means there's always something to fix, adjust, or reinforce, turning simple household maintenance into a survival strategy. The constant need to monitor and repair the shelter keeps people moving, and as a result, keeps them warm. Daily chores are another source of movement. Clothing needs adjustments, tools require maintenance, and food preparation is an active process. Even tasks that seem sedentary, like sewing or preparing animal skins, involve enough small movements to maintain circulation. It's the ultimate version of productive fidgeting, where every action not only serves a purpose but also contributes to staying warm. Interestingly, the layout of an igloo is designed to encourage movement. Unlike modern homes where convenience is prioritized, traditional Inuit living spaces intentionally space out tools and supplies. This setup requires people to get up and move around frequently, ensuring they aren't sitting still for too long. Imagine a kitchen where the fridge, stove, and sink are all in separate corners. It might be inconvenient in a suburban home, but in the Arctic, this kind of setup is a survival tactic. Hunting provides even more opportunities to stay warm. Tracking animals across vast ice-covered landscapes requires bursts of intense activity followed by careful, deliberate movements. But even during these slow moments, Inuit hunters engage in micro-movements to prevent their bodies from cooling down too much. It's a bit like playing an extended game of freeze tag, except in this version, freezing is not an option. Surviving in the Arctic isn't just about wearing the right clothing or eating the right foods. It's about maintaining an active relationship with the environment. Every movement, every task, and every tradition is carefully designed to help people generate enough heat to withstand temperatures that most of the world will never experience. The Inuit don't just endure the cold. They adapt, move, and thrive in it. Studies of traditional Inuit hunting techniques reveal that skilled hunters can maintain their core body temperature even during long, motionless stalking sessions. Their ability to subtly adjust their posture and engage in controlled micro-movements keeps their circulation going without startling prey. But beyond hunting, the Inuit have developed specific emergency strategies to combat sudden drops in body temperature. If someone starts showing signs of dangerous cold exposure, fumbling objects, slurred speech, or slowed reactions, they don't just sit around and hope for warmth. Instead, they immediately engage in a series of intense, purposeful movements to generate heat. These are your typical warm-up exercises, though jumping jacks would work in a pinch. Instead, the strategies are built for Arctic conditions. One method involves quickly removing and replacing outer layers to trap warm air between clothing. Another involves deep knee bends, which activate large muscle groups to produce heat fast. And in an unexpected but effective twist, wrestling with a companion is another survival tactic. In most places, a surprise wrestling match might seem aggressive, but in the Arctic, it's a legitimate way to keep someone from freezing. Even sleeping involves built-in movement strategies. The traditional raised sleeping platform isn't just about avoiding the cold air that settles at ground level. It's actually designed to encourage movement. The slight discomfort causes sleepers to shift positions throughout the night, generating small bursts of body heat with each motion. These natural adjustments can raise localized skin temperature by several degrees, helping maintain warmth without external heat sources. It's like having an unconscious internal reminder to keep the body's furnace running. From an early age, Inuit children learn these movement techniques through play. Traditional Arctic games aren't just for fun, they serve as training for survival. Activities that require constant movement reinforce the importance of staying active in cold environments. Think of it as the Arctic version of the floor is lava, except in this case, staying still too long is a real hazard. These childhood games mimic adult skills, ensuring that by the time they grow up, these survival habits are second nature. Of course, all the movement in the world won't help much without a reliable source of heat and light. That's where the COLDEST comes in, the traditional Inuit seal oil lamp. More than just a source of illumination, the COLDEST has been a lifeline for generations, providing warmth and cooking heat throughout the long Arctic winters. And unlike modern heating systems, which rely on electricity that can fail at the worst times, the COLDEST has stood the test of time, functioning as long as there's oil and a skilled hand to tend it. The brilliance of the COLDEST lies in its fuel, rendered seal oil. This isn't just any fuel. It's nature's equivalent of premium-grade energy for survival. When burned, seal oil produces a clean, nearly smokeless flame that radiates steady, controlled warmth. It gives off enough heat to keep an igloo comfortable without turning it into a melting disaster. Rendering the oil from seal blubber is an art in itself, requiring patience and precision. Heat it too much, and you'll burn the oil. Keep it too cool, and you might as well wait until the next ice age for it to be ready. Traditional COLDEST are typically carved from soapstone, which isn't chosen just for aesthetics. Soapstone has remarkable heat retention properties, absorbing warmth from the flame and releasing it gradually, acting like a natural heat regulator. Most COLDEST designs feature a crescent-shaped bowl, sometimes stretching up to 2 feet for larger living spaces. This curved design isn't random. It helps distribute heat more evenly, similar to how a curved mirror spreads light. One of the most fascinating aspects of the COLDEST is its wick. Unlike standard candle wicks, which are pre-made and consistent, COLDEST wicks are crafted from Arctic cotton grass or dried moss. These natural materials are carefully prepared and arranged along the lamp's edge to draw up the oil efficiently. But here's the tricky part. These wicks require constant attention. Managing them is an art, much like keeping a fire perfectly stoked. If the wick is too long, it produces smoke. Too short, and the flame flickers out. Adjusting it correctly requires a special tool called a tuzik, which is expertly used to maintain the perfect flame height. It's a skill passed down through generations, requiring a delicate touch and a watchful eye. Think of it as being a DJ, except instead of fine-tuning music tracks, you're fine-tuning flames to keep your family warm. Through constant movement, carefully designed sleeping arrangements, and the ever-reliable COLDEST, the Inuit have created a survival system perfectly adapted to their frozen world. Every technique, from subtle shifts in posture to carefully managed flames, is the result of generations of knowledge, proving once again that when it comes to mastering the cold, no one does it better than the Inuit. Mastering the COLDEST, the traditional Inuit oil lamp, requires precision that would rival the skills of a master chef. Unlike modern heating systems that rely on complex controls, the COLDEST operates with simple but highly effective adjustments. Need more heat? Add extra moss wicks or extend the existing ones. Want to reduce the temperature? Trim the wicks or position them closer together. This ancient heating system doesn't need electricity or batteries, yet skilled users can maintain a temperature variance of just 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit, a level of control that even modern home thermostats struggle to match. But the COLDEST is more than just a heater. It is a multifunctional survival tool. It acts as a space heater, a stove, a drying rack, and even a natural light therapy lamp. If mittens get wet, they can be hung at a precise distance from the flame to dry without burning. Melting snow for drinking water. There's a specific spot above the flame where heat is intense enough to melt snow efficiently without wasting fuel. Cooking a meal. The height at which a pot is placed above the flame determines cooking temperature, allowing for controlled cooking in a way that rivals a modern stovetop. A well-maintained COLDEST can raise the temperature inside an igloo by 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is often the difference between life and death in Arctic winters when outside temperatures drop to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. While modern heating systems consume enormous amounts of electricity or fuel, the COLDEST is incredibly efficient, running for hours on just a couple of cups of seal oil. Even more fascinating is its mental health benefits. The soft, flickering glow of the COLDEST produces a specific wavelength of light that boosts mood, similar to modern light therapy lamps used to combat seasonal depression. Long before scientists identified seasonal affective disorder, the Inuit relied on the warm illumination of the COLDEST to maintain emotional well-being through the darkest months of the year. However, maintaining a COLDEST is a serious responsibility. Running out of fuel isn't just an inconvenience, it can be life-threatening. Because of this, the Inuit prioritized fuel storage above nearly everything else. Multiple sealed containers of seal oil were stored carefully to prevent freezing, ensuring that even in the harshest conditions, there was always a backup supply. Running out of food was unfortunate, but running out of seal oil was unthinkable. Beyond providing heat and light, the COLDEST also acted as an early warning system. If the flame started producing excess smoke, it signaled a ventilation issue in the igloo, a potentially deadly situation in an enclosed space. Proper airflow was crucial to prevent carbon monoxide buildup, and the COLDEST's behavior helped monitor air quality. The small ventilation hole at the top of the igloo had to be kept clear at all times. In this way, the COLDEST functioned as a primitive but highly effective carbon monoxide detector. Except this one also cooked food and kept the family warm. After a long day of hunting and constant movement to stay warm, getting proper rest was crucial, but sleeping in the Arctic presented unique challenges. The extreme cold was relentless, and without careful planning, sleep could become dangerous rather than restorative. The first rule of Arctic sleeping: never, under any circumstances, sleep directly on the ground. The Inuit understood that even a few inches of elevation could mean the difference between waking up refreshed and suffering from severe cold exposure. The science behind this is simple but critical. At temperatures below minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit, direct contact with the ground pulls body heat away rapidly, much like how a smartphone battery drains faster in freezing conditions. To counter this, traditional igloos featured raised sleeping platforms, about 2 feet above the entrance level. This wasn't just a matter of convenience. It was an ingeniously designed natural heating system. Since cold air sinks, the lowest point of the igloo, near the entrance tunnel, collected the densest, coldest air. Meanwhile, the warmest air naturally rose to the level where people slept, ensuring they stayed significantly warmer than the air near the floor. Temperature tests have shown that this simple elevation strategy can create a difference of up to 15 degrees Fahrenheit between floor level and sleeping height, allowing for a far more comfortable and safe night's sleep. Bedding in the Arctic was not about luxury, it was about survival. The Inuit traditionally used caribou furs for sleeping, but their method of layering them was just as important as the furs themselves. The bottom layer of fur was placed with the hair pointing upward, while the top layer had the fur facing downward. This arrangement wasn't random. It was an intentional survival technique. The upward-facing fur in the bottom layer trapped warm air close to the body, while the downward-facing fur in the top layer created a protective seal that prevented heat from escaping. Each layer of caribou fur contained thousands of hollow hair fibers, which functioned as natural insulation by trapping air in tiny pockets. This made caribou fur one of the best insulating materials available. Modern scientists have measured the insulation value of traditional Inuit bedding and found that it outperforms most high-end synthetic sleeping bags. A well-prepared caribou fur sleeping setup can maintain warmth and temperatures as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit without any additional heating source. The effectiveness of Inuit sleeping systems is further proven by their insulation rating. Measured by R-value, a unit used to determine how well a material resists heat loss, caribou fur provides an R-value of approximately 8 per inch of thickness. To put that into perspective, the average high-quality synthetic sleeping bag has an R-value of around 5. When multiple layers of caribou fur are used together, the total insulation can reach an R-value of up to 40, which is better than the walls of most modern houses. The practicality of these sleeping arrangements extended beyond warmth. They were also designed for efficiency. Unlike modern sleeping bags that can become damp from trapped moisture, caribou fur naturally wicks moisture away while maintaining insulation. This kept sleepers dry and warm, a crucial factor in an environment where damp clothing or bedding could lead to frostbite or even death. This mastery of sleeping techniques was not just about comfort. It was about long-term survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The Inuit did not simply endure Arctic conditions. They adapted in ways that allowed them to thrive. By using knowledge passed down through generations, they created solutions that were often superior to modern technology, proving that understanding and working with nature is the key to survival in extreme climates. One crucial aspect of Arctic sleeping arrangements is the buddy system. Sleeping alone in extreme cold isn't just uncomfortable, it's risky. Traditional Inuit sleeping arrangements often involved families or hunting groups sleeping close together. Body heat was a vital resource, capable of raising the immediate temperature by several degrees, which could make the difference between warmth and freezing. In a place where the air could turn breath to ice, the Inuit understood something many modern campers overlook. In freezing conditions, survival takes priority over personal space. The sleeping position itself played a major role in heat conservation. Curling up while sleeping wasn't just about comfort. It was a way to reduce heat loss by minimizing exposed surface area. This position could decrease heat loss by up to 20%. Inuit sleepers often tucked their nose and mouth into their chest, creating a small insulated pocket of warm air. This technique helped prevent frostbite on exposed facial extremities, while ensuring that each breath stayed warm before entering the lungs. Beyond body positioning, moisture control was another crucial survival factor. Sweat was an unseen danger in Arctic conditions. Wet clothing or bedding could freeze, turning a warm sleeping space into a block of ice. The Inuit solved this problem with caribou fur bedding, which had natural moisture-wicking properties. Each hair of caribou fur was hollow, creating an insulating effect that kept warmth trapped while repelling moisture. This unique structure allowed body heat to remain inside the bedding without allowing condensation to form. Ventilation was equally important. Although keeping an igloo sealed might seem logical for warmth, the Inuit always left a small vent hole at the top of their shelter. This opening allowed excess humidity to escape, preventing moisture buildup, which could refreeze and create dangerously cold interior conditions. Without proper airflow, condensation from breath and body heat could turn an igloo's walls into an icy tomb. This primitive yet effective humidity control system ensured that sleeping areas remained dry and warm. Despite the harsh environment, Inuit sleep quality remains surprisingly high. Studies of traditional Inuit sleep patterns show they average 7 to 8 hours per night, even in the depths of winter. Their restful sleep came from a combination of proper nutrition, high physical activity during the day, and an optimized sleeping setup that insulated them from the extreme cold. Many modern city dwellers, with their temperature-controlled bedrooms and high-tech mattresses, struggle to achieve the same level of deep sleep. The gentle glow of the kulak, the muffled sound of the wind outside, and the security of a well-built shelter all contributed to an environment that supported restful, uninterrupted sleep. Preparing for sleep followed a careful nightly routine. Arctic dwellers couldn't simply crawl under blankets and hope for the best. Hunters often performed small exercises before bed, not enough to sweat, but just enough to generate warmth that could be transferred to their sleeping area. They also checked their bedding and clothing for any snow or ice that could have accumulated. A small patch of ice under a fur blanket could melt and refreeze, creating an unpleasant and potentially dangerous cold spot. Adjusting the kulak was another essential part of the nightly routine. The flame needed to be set just right, too high, and the igloo could become too warm, leading to sweating, too low, and the temperature could drop dangerously before morning. Skilled kulak users could fine-tune the flame's height and wick placement to maintain a steady, comfortable warmth throughout the night. Morning routines were just as deliberate. Unlike the modern habit of jumping out of bed as soon as an alarm rings, the Inuit practiced a gradual wake-up process. Exposing the body to extreme cold too quickly could lead to muscle stiffness or even injuries. Instead, they moved slowly under their blankets, allowing their bodies to warm up before fully emerging from the bedding. This transition could take 15 to 20 minutes, but it helped conserve energy and prevent cold-related discomfort. Through careful sleep positioning, moisture management, strategic ventilation, and well-planned routines, the Inuit mastered the art of sleeping in the harshest conditions on Earth. Their sleeping strategies weren't just about comfort, they were essential survival tools. By refining these techniques over generations, they created a system that kept them warm, dry, and well-rested in an environment where one mistake could mean the difference between life and frostbite. Their ability to adapt and thrive in such extreme conditions is a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of their culture. Waking up in the Arctic isn't just about stretching and groggily getting out of bed. It's the beginning of a carefully orchestrated routine that can mean the difference between survival and disaster. The first thing on the morning checklist is a full-body frostbite inspection. In extreme cold, waking up with frozen toes isn't just uncomfortable, it's potentially life-threatening. The Inuit developed a methodical approach to these checks, ensuring that fingers, toes, ears, and noses were accounted for before even considering stepping outside. Modern medical studies show that catching frostbite early can prevent permanent tissue damage in 90% of cases, making this daily routine a necessity rather than a precaution. Temperature management starts before moving too fast. The sleeping platform might have kept the immediate area around you at a relatively tolerable -10 degrees Fahrenheit, but just a few feet away, the air could be closer to -40 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. Jumping straight into that kind of temperature difference is like diving into an ice bath. It's a shock to the system that could cause rapid heat loss or even breathing difficulties. The Inuit mastered a slow wake-up routine, taking about 15 to 20 minutes to transition from their warm sleeping space to the frigid air around them. This gradual process is now recognized by modern survival experts, who refer to it as the Arctic warm-up protocol. Once the body is awake and accounted for, the next priority is the igloo itself. Cracks can form in the night as shifting snow and ice react to temperature changes, and even the smallest opening can become a major problem. In temperatures below -30 degrees Fahrenheit, a crack the size of a thumb can cause the interior temperature to plummet by 20 degrees in under an hour. Inuit morning routines often include a full inspection of the igloo walls, patching any weaknesses with fresh snow packed into place like a natural sealant. It's a form of home maintenance that puts the typical morning routine of checking the weather app to shame. Attention then shifts to the kulak. The first person awake assumes the responsibility of tending to the lamp, checking oil levels, and trimming the moss wicks to keep the flames steady. Letting the kulak run out of fuel isn't just a mild inconvenience. It could mean an entire shelter cooling down dangerously fast. A properly maintained kulak can burn efficiently for up to 16 hours on just a cup of seal oil, a testament to the ingenuity of this centuries-old heating system. Getting dressed in Arctic conditions is an art form in itself. The challenge isn't just layering up, but ensuring that clothing remains functional. If boots or mittens freeze overnight, putting them on is nearly impossible, like trying to slip your foot into a block of ice. The Inuit solved this by keeping essential clothing items elevated near the kulak, close enough to stay flexible but far enough away to prevent overheating and sweating. Even a small amount of moisture in clothing could freeze once outside, turning protective gear into a liability rather than a defense against the cold. Breakfast is less about enjoying a slow morning meal and more about fueling up for the physically demanding day ahead. The Arctic demands a high-calorie intake just to maintain body temperature, meaning breakfast alone can require between 2,000 to 3,000 calories. That's the equivalent of eating an entire day's worth of meals in a single sitting by modern standards. Food storage plays a crucial role in this process. Unlike the typical pantry, Inuit storage systems take advantage of nature's deep freeze. Meat and fish are kept in ice houses, requiring morning preparation that involves chipping off frozen portions for cooking. Water preparation is another critical step. Without running taps, drinking water must come from melted snow or ice. This process requires careful balance. Melting too much at once wastes precious fuel, while melting too little means dehydration. In Arctic conditions, the body needs at least a gallon of water per day to stay properly hydrated, and miscalculating this in the morning can lead to fatigue and reduced physical performance later. Before heading out, a gear check is mandatory. Every piece of equipment, whether it's a hunting spear, sled harness, or navigation tool, must be in perfect working condition. In extreme cold, even a small equipment failure can have major consequences. A broken line could mean losing a sled dog, and a dull knife could turn a simple food preparation task into an ordeal. Modern survivalists talk about situational awareness, but for the Inuit, this was simply a way of life. Beyond the physical routines, one of the most fascinating aspects of Arctic survival is mental resilience. The ability to endure extreme cold isn't just about good gear or strong muscles. It's about maintaining the right mindset. The Inuit don't see cold as an enemy to be fought, but as a simple reality of life. Where most people would react to sub-zero temperatures with discomfort or fear, the Inuit approach them with acceptance and preparation. This psychological approach has been studied in modern research, revealing that Inuit communities experience lower stress levels related to cold exposure compared to outsiders. Their upbringing conditions them to tolerate extreme conditions without panic, while many Arctic visitors struggle with simple tasks due to stress. A key element of this mental resilience is avoiding panic. The Inuit understand that reacting emotionally to a problem wastes precious energy. Studies of experienced Inuit hunters show that even in life-threatening situations, their heart rates remain steady and their decision-making remains sharp. In contrast, modern Arctic visitors often exhibit signs of stress, even when simply dressing for cold weather, burning extra energy, and increasing their risk of mistakes. Another surprising but essential part of Inuit survival is humor. Laughter isn't just entertainment. It's a coping mechanism. Throughout the long, dark winter, humor plays a crucial role in maintaining morale. Inuit storytelling often includes jokes and wordplay, not just for amusement, but as a way to reinforce lessons and relieve tension. This approach to stress relief is deeply embedded in their culture, providing a natural buffer against the mental strain of extreme cold and isolation. Living in the Arctic isn't just about enduring hardship. It's about mastering an environment that most would find uninhabitable. Every morning routine, from frostbite checks to carefully planned wake-ups, isn't just about getting through the day. It's about ensuring survival in the world's most unforgiving climate. The Inuits' ability to thrive in these conditions speaks to a profound understanding of nature, resourcefulness, and mental strength. Their approach to Arctic life is a testament to human adaptability, proving that survival isn't just about strength or endurance. It's about knowledge, preparation, and the right mindset. Laughter is more than just entertainment in the Arctic. It's a survival tool. Psychological studies have shown that humor increases cold tolerance by up to 10%, which might explain why Inuit humor often centers on turning difficult situations into something to laugh about. When you're living in a place where the air can freeze your breath in seconds, maintaining a sense of humor isn't just a luxury. It's a necessity. Time also works differently in the Arctic. The modern world thrives on speed, efficiency, and schedules, but none of that means much when you're waiting for a seal to surface at a breathing hole. Patience isn't just helpful, it determines whether you eat that night. Some hunters have been known to sit motionless for hours, displaying a level of stillness that would make a statue look restless. This ability to wait, to remain calm and deliberate, is what anthropologists call Arctic time. Rushing leads to mistakes, and mistakes in this environment are costly. This mindset, controlling what you can and accepting what you can't, is one of the key psychological adaptations of the Inuit. They don't try to change the Arctic. They adapt to it. They can't make the temperature warmer, but they can build a better igloo. They can't make the day longer, but they can prepare more thoroughly. This approach is strikingly similar to modern stress management techniques, but the Inuit developed it through necessity rather than by reading self-help books or attending mindfulness retreats. Social bonds are another critical element of Arctic survival. In traditional Inuit communities, everyone had a role, and everyone depended on each other. There was no room for selfishness because survival was a collective effort. Studies show that this level of social cohesion led to significantly higher survival rates compared to early European explorers, who often maintained rigid hierarchies. The Inuit knew that teamwork wasn't just a good idea, it was essential. Nothing builds trust like knowing that your survival depends on the people around you.